The line of thought I followed on the first two parts converged to the conclusion that definition of life is communication between two realms. One realm is our material reality that we see and experience, and the other it is identified as the unconscious, the unknown something beyond our conscious perception. It is understood that giving a definition with an unknown part tends to be bittersweet because when we include an element of the unknown in our explanations, it tends to be the magic bullet, but also the Trojan horse for the validity of such theory at the same time. If we know how this communication works, will give us a functional understanding and some means to understand the unknown portion. Similar to the idea of radio waves that we cannot sense the electromagnetic waves or see the radio station, for example, but we can listen to the radio and use the cell phones every day. For a start, I would like to make an overview of what we observed on the first two videos. We can divide the realm of knowledge we possess nowadays into two parts, one obtained from exact sciences and the other obtained from life sciences. The first knowledge deals with the inert matter. We have figured out the inner workings of things and we are quite successful using them. Secondly, life sciences deal with live things. Our approach in this field is a bit different. It consists mostly in compiling detailed observations with the purpose of identifying patterns. We do have success with this approach as well, but matching patterns does not offer the same degree of success as does our approach with inert matter, knowing the inner workings. In particular, I would like to see what do we know about the unknown. Already in our existing repository of knowledge, the part of the story where the unknown is actually included. This is not the unknown residing outside of our current grasp of knowledge. Rather, I would like to find the quiet compromise within the well-explored facts, the acceptance of the unexplained, the unknown within well-understood and researched phenomena. First, let's look at life sciences. Life sciences are riddled with the postulates of highly detailed descriptions, the narratives of observations that elegantly skip the why. With the knowledge life sciences gives us, we cannot create any kind of life, no matter how simple or even isolated functions of life, from scratch. We don't know how the first cell came to be, what triggers the first heartbeat, the why for the placebo effect, what starts sickness and healing, or how to technically mimic photosynthesis. All the life sciences knowledge at the origin has some assumption, in other words, is rootless. Without a doubt, the biggest subject from the life sciences concealing this unknown component within is evolution through natural selection. We looked at the simple fact that any kind of life, starting with the very first cell to the most complex form, features at least 3 separate functions that depend on this external, unknown something that is not part of our material reality. If I am to summarize the tale of this theory of evolution through natural selection with one phrase, it will be, a truth out of turn is the better lie. How to understand this? Well, as they say, the devil is in the details. Let's consider this allegory. Jay went and got a fast car for himself. Very nice. The statement Jay got a fast car because he wants to go fast seems true enough after all. Jay admits that himself.
It's just fast, isn't it?
Yeah.
Getting a fast car is a good idea. How about using this truth we learned and get one of these cars for ourselves?
This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about.
Matter what we pay for the car. What matters is what you pay. Now, what's the closest you come to this number?
Looks like each car has a price and one has to have these things called money to match the price for the car. The wanting is irrelevant, not true, if one does not have the money. Similarly, the story of natural selection does not tell us the price for each evolution step or how to get the money needed to pay for the price. One way of finding out what's going on is to search for and observe the extraordinary events in the hopes that the information on these outlier events will draw the contours for us to see. Maybe it will pierce the boundaries and will give us the insight we need. However, without a framework, this approach could get us lost in the wrong track. The other way will be to zoom out and take a 10,000 feet view. We can see throughout the history of our existence, the evolution of life as a whole. By looking at what persisted, the culmination of this long effort up to the current moment. This method will give us the better chance of searching in the right path. From the previous video anyway, we look at it. The organic cell is the elemental block of life, and therefore the beginning of our argument. In order for the organic cell to be considered alive, it needs to prepare and keep an exact copy of the self, preserve itself, live by interacting with the environment, interact with the environment to propagate and make a working copy of this self. Three different separate tasks that are the core of what we call life. These tasks depend on the cell occupying a higher ground to identify itself. This higher ground can only be virtual because there is nothing in this material reality to account for. The culmination of life's journey is the human psyche. Not only the most discerning feature of the highest form of life, without a doubt the unique tool for human advantage in this world, but for our interest is the closest thing we can observe that has some relation with the external otherworldly component we're trying to understand. This is not by accident. The psyche is virtual by nature. So at the most advanced form of life, we find a virtual component that communicates with the unconscious. Here lies our better chance to understand the unconscious. How to understand the human psyche in relation to the unconscious. Jung observed and identified two main separate parts, animus and anima. Quote, below from Wikipedia as a source of the latest agreed understanding.
Jung's theory states that the anima and animus are the two primary anthropomorphic archetypes of the unconscious mind.
A quick reminder that unconscious is something we cannot see, something we are not aware of, something we don't know about. In short, something we have no clue in conscious terms. Then how can we talk about a description? The idea provides us with a concept. This concept indicates that the relation of the psyche with the unconscious is the source where the conscious things start. The method for finding information on the unconscious then is to observe the outcome. The activity of the conscious correlate that with the very beginning of the activity and guesstimate going backwards. When we continuously get repeated results, like analyzing a dream, for example, decode the symbolic meaning, and observe the outcome in the real life, we then can identify parts of the concept or make corrections to our initial model. So, initially, let's consider these two notions, anima and animus. They denote two main functions, two main contraptions that we use, unconsciously, to interact with the unconscious realm. We can envision them as some sort of machinery that has some input. Raw material goes in and some product comes out. Or maybe they're like two different tools we use to reach into the unconscious, or maybe two different types of trees, each one extending the roots down into the unconscious and bearing two different types of fruit. We're not sure yet. Let's try to find some more information from the initial concept. We know that while they are both part of the human psyche, the one called the animus is more pronounced and observable into the man's activity, and the other, the anima, more pronounced and observable into the woman's activity in life. It is self-evident to notice that there is a difference between man and woman traits throughout the course of a normal life. But what is this difference in relation to this non-material or otherworldly component we identified? What is the root of this different perspective? The evaluations we find do not get past the initial observations. We get a list with descriptive notes. The man is more assertive and the woman more compassionate, etc. The more we try to improve our answer in order to find a clear definition, the more things we add to the list. And the bigger the list gets, the blurrier the answer we seek becomes. The best we can do is to summarize this long list with, the man has more interest in enacting something, making a change in the world, and the woman has more interest in experiencing, perceiving the world. We could go back in time and see the evolution of the perspective, the consideration for this difference, exploring the cultural inheritance, our history, the customs we developed, the songs, the stories, the art, the roles we created in society, the societal structures and their evolvement into our understanding now. Looking back at human life throughout the span of time and throughout the globe in separate cultures, we find that the societal roles, as an application of the human understanding for the male and female, do match the inherent interests we mentioned, the man enacted and the woman experienced. When was the first time they figured this difference? The earliest valuation starts with a metaphor, the man associated with the sun and the woman associated with the moon. This metaphor is so powerful that it is still used as the most significant symbol of masculine and feminine throughout the world today. How to understand this symbolic significance? The symbol represents the true meaning, the meaning that can be transferred without explanation, without the need for a language, the meaning that does not change. From an earthly perspective, this metaphor tells that during the day the sun shines, the sunlight illuminates everything on earth. However, during the night, only the light that the moon allows comes back to earth. Only the light that the moon approved can exist. Can this metaphor help us find an answer? The answer for the origins of the difference to allow us a peek into the unconscious. If we only had a helping clue, what about the science of inert things? Can the more powerful science help us somehow to find an answer? The science of things advanced in all directions, decoding many aspects of the material reality for us, rising up to make sense of the skies and then dive deep down to the elemental building block, the atoms. And here in this new venture laid the biggest hope, the final frontier to unlock the cosmos, the theory of everything. However, the most surprising twist happened. When it tried to charter this corner of the universe, ready to conquer and get the final prize, it met a very unexpected element, the most unpredictable player of the cosmos. Down there at the very root of the material being, the esteemed nuclear physics met life. To be more precise, down at the building block of matter, there at the foundation of all that is, we find that the very existence is tangled with the perception. With our perception, our experience of things seems to be of importance for the very existence of things. Science is both. The one of life and the one of things had a very good run, but at this point in time, when we need to know what makes everything tick, we find that both sciences, the science of life and the science of things, are stuck. And being stuck, they stay into their own comfort zone within their cubicles, afraid that the question of life will come up. But the desire to find the answer is strong. Will the answer be accepted if it comes from a different field, from a different discipline? Here we have the nuclear physicist making a plea for help.
But that's a different result to what we had earlier. So here's the last bit of sneakiness that we can play with atoms. Surely now, we're going to get to grips with it. Leave the detector there, but just very quietly go and unplug it. Don't let the atoms know that you're not spying on them. Make them think that you're still detecting them. So, yeah, okay, we're going to run the experiment, atoms. Okay, get ready, one at a time. We're going to be checking on you. All right, so run the experiment again. Now, if you can explain this using common sense and logic, do let me know, because there's a Nobel Prize for you.
So, here comes the proposal. The two sciences alone in their compartments were stuck. During our quest to find the workings of life, we got some insights. With these insights, is natural then that our proposal is to marry nuclear physics with psychology. First, we need to find the best terms in order to define our model, the terms that are clearer and carry the least of preconceptions. First term is the symbolic realm, a permanent realm, never changing and constant, the immortal realm, fixed in eternity, holding an immutable repository of true meaning. Second term is the material reality. This reality is temporary, fickle, and therefore measured in time. However, this material reality, by the very act of existence, denotes a connection with the permanent state of being, because a connection with the permanent state of being is needed for the very act of existing. A longer duration for material reality could be possible if it could arrange into a better representation of the symbolic realm, if it could find a better meaning. The other term is yang instead of animus or masculine. We can use a better term meaning simply the visible side. Yang represents a connection from the symbolic realm into the material reality. As this connection starts from the symbolic realm, then it will be the source of inception for all ideas. To imbue a better meaning, then it must follow through to enact and materialize new changes into the material world. Last but not least is the term yin. Instead of anima or feminine, is more appropriate to use the term yin, the shady side. Yin represents a connection from the material reality to the symbolic realm. Yin is characterized with the perception of the material reality and the transmission back to the symbolic realm, submitting it into the unconscious. When the cycle is closed and a better meaning is found, a longer existence will then be granted. Nothing can exist without closing the connection to the source, without reporting back its meaning. Yin is the existential sustenance for the material reality. We wanted to find how life worked and found how everything works. At the foundation of reality, the atoms need yin to exist, and the evolution of life is awarded to the enactment, to the yang that gets the most yin. This model of reality should help us to answer many questions. What is the definition for good and evil? What is freedom? What is love? What will be the best structure for society? We should tread carefully not to fall into the trap of superstition, but must explore this perspective nevertheless, because the time has come for a better understanding. I invite you to join me in this journey. I invite you to rediscover what we knew long ago.